I mean, my mind is a storm, and I don't think most people would want to be me. They may think they would want to be me, but they don't. They don't know. They don't understand.
How are you doing?
I mean, overall, okay. In the grand scheme of things, I can't complain.
You get lonely?
Sometimes, but my kids and friends keep me company.
So not existential.
There are many nights I sleep alone. I don't have to, but I do.
I used to think money would solve everything. And yes, it does solve some things. But the real question is, what actually changes when you get rich? Let's find out. Now, when you are broke, there's a certain way that you view wealth. In your mind, the moment you get rich, every single thing about you is going to change. You're going to buy G63, you're going to buy your mom a mansion, you're going to change your house, change your car, change everything about your life, and everything will just upgrade. And you imagine that you're never going to be sad again. You're never going to be bored again. Well, I hate to break it to you, but that is not true. And that is because of something called hedonic adaptation. Now, what does that even mean? Hedonic adaptation is a psychological concept that states that humans return to a baseline of happiness after positive or negative events. So if your baseline is, say, 7 out of 10, if you get rich overnight, if you win the lottery or you just blow somehow, it will jump to 10 out of 10. So you'll be very happy, it will be as if you're in heaven. But that will only stay for let's say, 1 week, 2 weeks. After that time, your mind is going to come down. It's going to come down from 10 out of 10 to the baseline, which was 7 out of 10. And in the same way, if something very bad happens to you, like God forbid, let's say you get into an accident and you break your legs, your baseline of happiness is going to go from that 7 and it's going to go down to 2 out of 10. But like I said, because of hedonic adaptation, after some time, even though it sucks, you're going to go up to 7 out of 10 again. So this is just how the human brain works. So the point of this is that getting rich will not put your brain in a state of permanent euphoria. You'll still get bored. You'll still have moments of sadness. That is just the human experience. So, what actually changes when you get rich? So first of all, I'll just state the ones that are obvious. Number 1, the food that you're eating is going to change. If right now you're surviving on just Indomie noodles, and maybe gari sometimes, and that's all you eat, and that's all you can actually have time to make, that is going to change. Because when you have money, you can have access to better quality food, better quantity of food. So that's going to change. The second thing that is going to change is the place that you are living in. So if right now you are living with someone else, and there are 2 other people in the room, and one of them is just dirty, and the guy doesn't care, and then the other one is the owner of the house, and the person is always shouting at you that you are doing this and I'm doing this thing. All of that is going to change, because right now you can move to a better place. And with the place that you're moving to, you can also have better security, because if you have money, you can move to a better neighborhood, which is going to have better security, better opportunities, better everything. And another thing that actually changes when you get rich, which to me is the most important, is time freedom. So if right now you spend a lot of hours every day doing house chores, or trekking because you don't have transport, or going to events or doing obligations that you don't want to do just because you are broke, then when you become rich, all of that changes, and there's a lot of time that is freed up. You can hire somebody to do the chores for you so that you can focus on doing what you actually want to do. So a lot of things can happen. You have a lot of control over your time. And then of course the last one is less stress. When you have more money, there's just less stress about the basic necessities in life. So there's a lot of mental space that is freed up, because you're not thinking, how do I make 5,000 naira stretch over 3 days? You're not thinking about that. That's already settled. So now I've discussed what changes when you actually get rich. But there are a lot of things that don't actually change, and that you may think will actually change, but they don't actually change. And that's what we're going to talk about in the next part of this video. If you can remember the first part of this video, I told you that even if you go from broke to rich, your brain is still going to return to the normal baseline of happiness that it knows. Well, since the brain itself doesn't change, it follows that the problems that are associated with the brain, the mental problems, they also don't change. So, for example, if you struggle with loneliness, if you're capable of being in a crowd and you still feel lonely, it's not going to change when you become rich. If anything, it's going to become worse. Because right now, because you have all these resources, all the people that you knew, the few people that you knew, your friends and your family, they're going to start acting differently to you. Everybody is going to start wanting something from you because now you are financially stable, you are rich. And because of that, you begin to feel so isolated. So it becomes worse instead of getting better. So that's one thing that is never going to change if you struggle with it right now. And the second thing that is not going to disappear is if you have a low self-esteem. So if you somehow believe that you're not enough, even if you get wealthy, you're going to be using the wealth as a crutch to your own dissatisfaction with yourself. So you're going to be hiding behind this sort of fortress of wealth that you have built for yourself. And deep inside, you'll still be as insecure as you were before you got the wealth. And this means that you're going to attach your sense of self, your sense of self-worth to the amount that's in your account. So if you go into a room of billionaires and you see somebody that's richer than you, then you feel small again, you feel broke again. So it's not going to fix anything if that's what you're struggling with. Now, the next thing I'm about to say might actually shock you. And it is that even though now I've looked at things that are not going to change when wealth comes, there are some new problems that becoming rich actually creates. Let's look at them. So I know that right now you may be thinking, how can it be that getting wealth, getting this thing that everybody wants, will still create new problems for you? Well, the reason for that is something called sudden wealth syndrome. And it basically means that when someone gets a large amount of money in a relatively short time, then there are some psychological challenges that the person faces. So let me just list each of them out. So the first one is the pressure to maintain what he has gotten. So this phenomenon mostly shows in startup founders. So people that start a tech company and then the company just blows up and gets a lot of investors overnight. And overnight they become millionaires. Like somebody can get $50 million in one day. And then because of that, there's a certain pressure to maintain what the person has gotten. Because everybody makes bad investments. But the difference is that when you're broke, the amounts that you're losing is less than when you are rich. So you can, if I make an investment of 50,000 naira now and the thing doesn't work, yes, of course, to pay me, but it's not that much. That's the difference. But if you are a deca millionaire and then you make an investment of $10 million and it doesn't work, it will eat at your brain. And so the first thing that these people deal with is that, oh my God, I have all this money. What if I lose it overnight? Do I really even deserve this thing? Do I even have the decision-making skills to be able to handle this money that I have? That is one thing that they deal with, and it can be very difficult. Now, the second problem that people face under sudden wealth syndrome, which I think is even more painful, is their relationships. Because when you get very rich overnight, the people around you are going to change. You yourself, your internal state has not changed, as I've said before. But the people around you are going to change. You'll start acting different towards you. Suddenly, your friends and family will not just see you as their guy. They'll see you as the man that they need something from. Everybody's going to need financial assistance, need a favor, need something from you. And because of that, your personal relationships will start getting very strained. So the perfect example for this is a story, a real life story. And this is how it goes. In 1988, there's this guy called William Post. So he's in the state of Pennsylvania in the US. And he enters into the American lottery. And he wins. And the amount he wins is wild. $16.2 million. Just like that, overnight. He won it in the lottery. And he won it, let's say he won it today, but a year from now, like this day in 2026, he had a debt of $1 million. So can you imagine? He won this lottery. He was at plus $16.2 million. And then from where he went down, not to zero, not to just being broke. He went into debt of as much as $1 million. And then you ask yourself, what happened? Well, this is what happened. When he first won the money, he had $16.2 million. So his girlfriend that he had, I'm sure she was like, oh my God, this guy I'm dating has hit his beak. And she had a plan, because she didn't actually love him now. She saw him as a cash cow. So she decided that she's going to take him to court, sue him for whatever she sued him for. And then she took 1/3 of that money. So she took 1/3. 1/3 of the money is about $5.4 million. She took that one. And as if his girlfriend's one was not enough, it was later discovered that his brother, his blood brother, hired an assassin to assassinate him. So that he's going to take the money that he had. So this guy had these two people in his life that were maybe normal before. Maybe they gave him some problems, but they were not that serious. But now, because he had all this money, they came to take it. They came like vultures to pick off what he had. And that's not where the story stops. It turned out that the guy himself was not a very good manager of wealth, was not a very good businessman. So he invested in a bunch of family businesses. And then all of them did not work out. And then at the end of the day, he was arrested for firing a gun at a police official. So you can see that this guy exemplifies this sudden wealth syndrome that we had. So he could not handle the pressure to maintain it, and all his relationships were strained. His story is very extreme and it's very bad, but this is what happens on a lower grade to everybody who becomes successful. They face these problems. They are real problems. Now I know that even though I've said getting rich has problems and the sudden wealth syndrome and whatever, I know some of you are like, I don't care. Give me the sudden wealth syndrome. Give me everything. But the point I'm trying to make is that, yes, money changes a lot of things in your life. But the man holding the money doesn't change very easily. So maybe the goal is not actually just making the money. It is the type of man you become while you make it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out this video I made about what poverty does to your brain. And if you like this channel, make sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching.